Hello.
Hello, hello. It's time for Borders again.
Again?
Again.
I say yes.
The return.
It's like a bad smell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep coming back.
Silent but deadly. No. So this week we've got our usual platter of random topics. I'm going to talk about a sitcom that I actually quite enjoy watching called Stath Lets Flats. Have you seen it, Davey?
Never.
Right, okay.
Go and educate me today.
Okay, so basically, and I hope listeners have seen it or are going to check it out, because it's a really, I don't know necessarily how popular it is mainstream, but I think it's a wonderful little show. And I'm not really into sitcoms. I just want to stress this enough. I genuinely am not massively into sitcoms, but you know, over the course of my life, I've really enjoyed comedies like 40 Towers and Only Fools and Horses.
Dad's Army.
Not for me.
Oh, right.
Did you like Dad's Army?
I love Dad's Army. Yeah. Stupid boy.
Yeah. And I think we've all probably got our own classics. I think everybody has their classics.
Yeah, classics, yes, classics.
And The Office sometimes, but sometimes it made me uncomfortable because the social awkwardness I could really relate to at some points. You know, it was too hard, I think, sometimes to watch.
I would go out that night.
Yeah. So Stath Lets Flats basically is this really bizarre but brilliant combination of an estate agency based in London, and they're a Cypriot family that are running this estate agency, and the lead character is called Stath, and he's played by Jamie Demetriou, and basically he's sort of a cross between sort of Borat and just like a really socially awkward just person. And it's weird because also everyone hates estate agents, so it plays on the fact that everyone hates estate agents. He is spectacularly incompetent as a lettings agent. If you basically imagine Borat as a letting agent, you're halfway there.
Right.
And basically, like he always goes in and his English comprehension is not quite there, so he'll use like really weird phrases that make no sense
at all.
Yeah. And some of the episodes, like he'll walk in and clearly the house will be in a really bad state, but he'll try and make light of it and be like, oh, you know, we can fix this, and he's desperately trying to get the sale, but normally every episode he doesn't end up getting a sale, and he's the worst salesman of the whole team. And the sort of the thread through it is basically him just battling through life, like you know, he sleeps with one of the office girls, and then they have a baby, but she hates him, so he has to find a new partner called Katya, and they have this hot and cold thing all the time, and he has a sister, and his sister's going out with one of the other rental guys, and there's sort of like this collection of sort of bumbling idiots, but you like all of them, you know. Like there's one guy who's very cynical, but he keeps working there because he's got nothing else to do. And it's really hard to describe it because when you watch it, it's just stylistically it's funny. It's kind of that handheld kind of style, and it normally opens or closes with one of them doing a viewing, and it's like, if you imagine like the worst house viewing possible. The best one was in one of the earliest episodes where Stath forgets the keys to a building that he's looking at, and he breaks into the house, but he doesn't know the alarm code.
Oh no.
But what he does is, because he's trying to keep calm, is he does the viewing with the alarm in the house going off. So he's walking around going, and up the stairs we have, oh look, a bench like you had in PE. Like, you know, there's wooden benches, and he's always trying to make jokes about it. And the woman's got her ears covered as she's going up the stairs, and the alarm's going off. And it's so stupid, but it's brilliant. Another one, he walks around someone's house and manages to break all 3 televisions accidentally. I mean, and you know, and it's hard describing it because when you watch it, it's just so bizarre how it happens, because he's prone to pratfalls, so he'll trip over or do something weird, and it really is brilliant. And I think it deserves being checked out because they're actually, and what's also very interesting about them is they're actually very short. They're 25-minute chunks. Okay. So actually last night I watched 2, sometimes I even watch 3 back to back because they're quite sort of nice, tidy kind of bits of work. Yeah. And I watched the end of the 3rd series last night, and I'm definitely back for watching the next instalment because they're quite sweet characters, and you want to see how they sort of evolve despite themselves. Yeah. So despite their failings and fumblings and everything else, they're actually all good. Yeah. All good people, and it captures. And I think, I don't know Jamie's background, but it's certainly written with an authenticity about what I think being a estate agent in London would be like. I mean, these guys, they work for Michael and Eagle Lettings, which is this very discount lettings agent, and in the third series they move into a barber's because they got chucked out of their old office, and they're always competing against, I think, Smethwick's, who's like this super smooth, suited estate agents that have got loads of money and really flash. And one of Stath's team, Carol, she aspires to be like one of the super smooth agents.
Right.
And yeah, you see them kind of competing with each other and trying to better themselves. And yeah, it's really, really, really funny. So I do recommend checking it out. I don't tend to watch a lot of things in Channel 4 actually. But Gordon Ramsay's one of my guilty pleasures on Channel 4, and Stath Lets Flats, I'm proud to say I endorse, and I hope guys watch it. It's good.
Good.
What's have you watched a sitcom of recent years?
No, I mean, it's funny with sitcoms. I haven't watched a lot recently. I mean, not really. I think I do like watching repeats.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when I get up early in the morning, when I'm having breakfast, it's about 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I usually
5,
watch.
6, 7 o'clock. That's quite a flexible.
Depending, I was up at 5:30 this morning, and I like watching some of the old kind of TV shows from the 70s and 80s, and occasionally there are I mean I know it's dated, but my wife, who's Greek, loves it, and that's Last of the Summer Wine.
Yeah.
I mean, Last of the Summer Wine to me is one of the best sitcoms, because I think, again, we talk about minorities, bringing in minorities. Well, actually having a sitcom about people over 65 or retired was pretty revolutionary back in the 70s when it started. We went right through to the 90s. And again, it's just a couple of old guys and their friends who get into scrapes, and they're absolutely incompetent. And you think to yourself, what were they doing during their working lives? I mean, were they sacked from their work because they're just incompetent? But the humour is gentle, and it's funny. I mean, I suppose it crosses over with a bit of cerebral humour with slapstick, and I like that.
It's interesting, the sort of different humour styles, because like
It's normal as well.
There's like really kind of gross out humour, which is like very kind of bargain basement, gallows type stuff. Then you get the kind of Gervais, which is that awful social awkwardness, which works for some but not for others.
Not for me. I can't stand
it. The Borat stuff, obviously he's just being a lunatic, inappropriate in different contexts. So it's interesting that the different humour styles. I'd probably lean more towards, I guess, I will, even though I've seen Fawlty Towers hundreds of times, I will happily rewatch those. Only Fools and Horses. But I think what's interesting about the really successful ones is there's actually a core to them. So Only Fools and Horses, the stuff they get through, but it's the dynamic between Rodney and Del that keeps it going. It's because they're both brothers and they both love each other, despite the nut stuff that they get up to and the stupid schemes they get involved in. You're rooting for them. That's the thing all the time. And Basil Fawlty, he's an absolute dick to his guests, but you still empathise with him. You think, God, I would hate to run that hotel. So it's interesting.
Yeah, but then there was stuff before then, back in the 70s. I remember as a child, which was like on the buses. Now on the buses, you had some of these kind of baddies in it, like the inspector, Butler, and it was like, it was great, and it was like, it was again the same kind of humour, but you had stereotypes that you could make sense of and you could attach yourself to, and and made a couple of films from the TV series, which was a big thing, and you had some of the other ones, set in a language school. All these things I just thought were great.
Well, it's interesting that John Cleese, I don't know if you saw in the news, but he banned himself from.
Yeah, he did.
Because a lecturer at Cambridge or something was doing
impersonation of Adolf.
Yeah. And it's interesting that humour, like in today's context, must be very kind of confusing, because on the one hand, to get noticed, you have to kind of say and do potentially some controversial things. But on the other hand, it's like you can just get attacked online straight away if you say something that people don't agree with. So, and it's sad because, I think through humour and through actually using stereotypes, it actually makes you reflect on what is actually wrong about that interpretation. So when Basil Fawlty was doing the Germans episode, the viewer is sophisticated enough to know that is an incorrect attitude to have towards it. But I think if you take everything at face value, you don't understand the the sort of complexity within that. I think that's why people kind of get a bit kind of confused and over emotional about it.
Yeah, or if you watch Billy Connolly when he was looking at suicide bombers, then I mean, it upset a lot of people, but the way he did it.
But he was making
making a statement, and I mean, sometimes you need to.
And you have to make, and sometimes these topics are really bleak. So actually, using humour is a way to kind of make it accessible and interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. No.
So yeah, it's funny humour how people just kind of fit into certain styles and other ones. And I actually think culturally as well. Like I guess I've got quite a British dry kind of humour style, and there's other people who really kind of I don't know. There's just different kind of types, I think.
Yeah, mine's a funny mix. I like slapstick. I like more what I call stage kind of work, doing things. I mean, dancing with brushes. I mean, that's me, and I'm more kind of hyped up. I can have a bit of dry humour, but it all depends.
There's some stuff that really clicks and some stuff that doesn't. So like, I've watched some of Mitchell and Webb's episodes because there's quite a lot on YouTube. There's a few of those that I like. There's other ones like Mrs. Brown that never really chimed with me very well.
There's some funny things in there, but I wouldn't sit all the way through it.
No, because sometimes it's too much, isn't it? Like the screeching and the stuff is too much.
Yeah. That's it. The silicone breasts in the oven is just too much. It's just too much for me.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, it's funny, Which ovens brings on very well into this idea of diets and food.
Oh yes.
Yes. So yeah, this is.
You were waiting for that. Lever into a conversation.
Well, I mean, this is the whole thing of finding kind of little kind of.
So part of our thing each week, guys, is to work out how we manage to segue between topics. Though they're really bad. Although you can see Davey made a link from oven, so cooking silicone breasts in an oven to a diet. So
there you go. Well,
that's quite good.
Because part of the diet is chicken, which I don't eat because I'm a vegetarian. So that's okay. But no. So what happened is that I had an adventure with couscous last week, where
is this the BRAT diet?
It's a BRAT diet. Yeah, yes, I'm talking BRAT. I'm coming to BRAT.
Oh,
I'm coming to BRAT. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had an adventure with couscous last week, and basically I overate, and I became.
I don't like couscous.
Well, I became very swollen, and I wasn't very well, and I had to go to the doctor. But there's yes, and there's another.
How much couscous did you eat?
Well, I think my wife cooked it, and she didn't cook it properly, so it swelled up. And it made
How can you not cook it properly? What do you have to do? Boil it in water?
No, this is giant couscous. But let's just say,
right,
well, the doctors think I had gastroenteritis, but that's another issue. But the thing is, I wasn't very well. Okay, so I managed to see the doctor yesterday, waiting a week. Of course, we're in the UK now. I'm trying to get a doctor. Honestly, yes. Yeah. You're doing for the talent. Hello. I'm speaking to someone. I'm going, hello. What's wrong with you? And I've got to explain. Anyway, I finally got in, and I managed to see this guy who I'm convinced the doctor had just literally come from a football match because he looked like it.
Was he sweating or something?
No, he just had the dress way he was dressed. He looked like he'd been on an equestrian sport or something. But he looked like a sports person, with a pair of shorts on, which is really interesting. Anyway, so the thing is, I've got to go on this diet for the moment. And it's called the BRAT Diet. And he said, have you heard of it? And I said, no, I haven't heard of it before. It's basically bananas, for the B.
Raspberries?
No, it's not.
Rice,
it is. Apple sauce, which I didn't get, for A, and toast.
Okay.
So for the next week, I've got that. Well, it's been more wider than that, but that's why they call it BRAT.
Okay.
So... So last night, so it's helped. I will say it's helped so far, touch wood. And last night was hysterical because I found when online, I can have some peanut butter as well, but nothing too adventurous now. So last night I had a bowl of boiled rice with some gluten-free soy sauce and some peanut butter.
Well, all mixed together?
All mixed together.
Oh my god.
Well, in the same bowl, let's say that, And then...
That must have tasted a bit confusing.
No, I loved it.
I've never had peanut butter with rice before.
It was lovely. I actually liked it.
Right. Okay.
And then for dessert...
Peanut rice.
For dessert, I had banana, because that's where the bananas come in, a bit of yogurt. Now, I've been feeling better, so as I said, hopefully, I've got to kind of go on this. But what came out of all this, which is apart from just the diet, is this whole idea of not being told about yourself, about what's been wrong with you in the past, because you have tests.
And you don't always know.
No, and this is the big thing.
Yeah,
so, about a year and a half ago, I had some tests. Okay, stomach problems.
Yeah, sometimes the doctor doesn't even know.
Well, no, they don't.
They'll give you like well, it could be this.
Yeah, but I mean, as you're aware, and for the viewers,
Listeners.
For listeners, yes, sorry. So you can view the still, can't you? You can view the still and for the listeners. Yeah. I've been kind of going on a wheat-free diet, gluten-free, and it's helped me because I've had pains in my guts for a few years, and I've done it, and it's been really good.
How long have you been on that for then?
I've been on it on and off, I suppose, properly for the last few months, but I've been on and off it for like a year, and it's helped me. Okay. You know, sometimes I go off, but I've cut back. But now I'm really being much more fundy about it. Mm-hmm. But so when he looked at my report, the first thing this doctor said to me yesterday, he said, yes, we did the test. He said, of course, you're gluten and wheat intolerant. And I went, what?
Am I? Yeah.
Yes. Am I?
Yeah.
Because I did this because I just did a trial and error. I go, let's try this, and it worked. And I said, well, I never knew that. He said, oh, did you? I said, no, I didn't. And he said,
so you done some tests and
they never told me. They never, because I said, I rang up and said, were the tests clear? And they said, yes. But they didn't say to me.
Clear in what way?
They didn't say to me, oh, by the way, you're no one told me this. Now my wife says, now you can access your that's great, but I haven't got access at the moment. I'm going to. I might find some new things. But what I found out last night, talking to a good friend of mine down in Curnow, back in Cornwall, it told me, this has freaked me out now. This has freaked me out, okay? I don't get that freaked, but I'm freaked. Because what happened was that a couple of years ago, he told me yesterday, and he didn't tell anybody else. He didn't tell me, but a couple of years, he had an operation for a lump, okay? And recently he had, and that was fine, that was it. He took the lump out, okay? And for fellas, a bit further down around the groin area, okay? So he took it up. Anyway, he was going for one of these interviews about his medical condition or something recently, and they were looking at his report, and this person says, oh, I see you've had cancer. He said,
What?
Yes, I've seen your records. You had an operation on it some years ago. And he went, what? I didn't. Oh, she did. It's on your record. So they said, there's nothing to worry about. We'll take it out. There's a lump there.
Well, I suppose they might not have told him to worry him, but that's a bit worrying. But
they never told him he had the big C.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. Sorry. Exactly. It blew me apart as well. But the point is like we were saying last night, is that it's not being informed. Is that you're actually disempowered, but also...
because you could have done other treatments or something.
Yeah, exactly. God. It is a nightmare, isn't it? But I say to listeners out there, find out, because as my friend was saying, this is the case that we've got to find out what's going on here. We've got to investigate. We've got to know what's going on.
But it's exhausting that you have to interrogate to find out. Like,
did I have cancer?
Yeah, exactly.
Did I have cancer?
Because then that doctor would think you're a lunatic. But then, based on what you just said, you have to ask them.
Yeah. Well, it's...
But, I mean, to be honest, right, if I go to a doctor and I send off for a test, I assume to hear the results.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny, because some years ago, I had skin cancer, and I went to get it sorted. And the woman was as blunt as they come. I mean, she was like a number 10 bus coming towards you. She just said to you, right, just tell you now, you've got cancer on your back. Oh, have I? Oh, yes, you've got it. It's all there. It's spreading. Oh, that's nice to know, thank you very much. But don't worry, we'll cut it out. Oh, that's wonderful, thank you very much. Yeah. So the thing was that at least I knew what I was dealing with.
No nonsense.
No nonsense.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, about 5 or 6, 7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
But this fella I had yesterday was actually a bit like that. He said, don't worry about it. He said, go on the BRAT diet. I go, right, great. And what happens after that? Well, you can take these drugs for about 3 weeks. Oh, that's great. And what happens if it comes back? Well, don't worry, we'll take you in, stick a camera down your throat, into your stomach, and give you something for an infection. And I said, well, thank you very much. That's great. And then this is the best bit. This is what I call medical proficiency here, mate. I said to him, "Oh, can I write the name? Can I write the name of this thing down?" He said, "I've got a pen." He said, "Write it on your phone." I went, of course, I didn't know I'm like with phones.
Yeah.
I went, "Oh, how do I use the memo?" And I said, so anyway, I was going out, going, remembering this, remembering this thing.
Well, NHS cutbacks, no pens either.
No pens! A doctor without a pen. You know, so one, they don't tell you what was wrong with you. And secondly,
even if they do, they can't write it down.
They didn't write it down! Oh my God! I tell you, that is bad.
That is bad.
But you see, I told you that when I tried to get them to look at my eyes some while ago, they said to me, here, you know, I went down to the thingy and down to the clinic. They said, we don't deal with that. And I go, don't you? No, we don't deal with eyes anymore. You've got to go to the eye clinic in town. I went, great. So they sent me a text which said, Lancaster Ear Clinic. And I said, well, hang on a minute. And then I rang up and it said, hello, this is Specsavers. And I went, oh, so it turns out that the eye clinic is now in Specsavers.
Yeah.
I've been down twice trying to sort something out. And someone told me last night that actually there was an article recently why there are so many people queuing outside of Specsavers now. It's not for glasses, mate.
It's for the eye
They're
clinic.
going, or for their ears.
As well.
My mate gets his ear syringed down there now, so you can go there. You can have your eye test. Well, you have your eyes looked at by a professional, and you can get your ear syringed at the same time.
Wow. If you didn't know.
No, which fits on very well to the last one.
Hang on. No, I've got a quick thing I want to say.
Oh, of course.
Diets.
Diets. Yeah. So you're on a diet, though, aren't you? I mean, honestly, you are on a Dolph Lundgren
diet. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Well, basically, which is regular protein intervals 6 or 7 times a day, and basically I keep my carbs quite lean. But what I actually found is my concentration levels overall more consistent now because I have that regular intake, and it's fairly easy. Like once you get into a habit, so like breakfast, I'll have actually a bowl of cereal, banana, do all my vitamins, intakes there. 11 o'clock I'll have a nut bar for protein. 1 o'clock I'll have a lunch. I normally try and pre-prepare my lunch so I've got my portions correct. So today it was meatballs and like half a handful of spaghetti. 3 to 4 o'clock I have a protein shake. Tonight I'll have the other half of my meatballs that I prepared. And then before to bed I'll have a bit of yogurt, and what it means is like throughout the day I don't have these, I still sometimes if I've been working hard have a bit of a crash, but most of the time I find myself quite consistent, and it means I can work longer and I think more effectively, so that's quite good. But anyway, my actual story was a disaster diet, not by me, but it was, I remember it was a brilliant story. It's been told so many times, it's like an urban legend now, but basically this guy, when he went to the UEA, he was so excited at the prospect of having a student loan that him and his friend clubbed together the money and they bought a speedboat, which they took out onto the Norfolk Broads. They then shortly crashed said speedboat and it sunk to the bottom of the thing. And because they'd bought their student loan, they'd blown their student loan on the speedboat, they had nothing or next to nothing left. So then for the rest of the term or year, whatever it was, they lived off of like muesli, like porridge and stuff, for breakfast, dinner and the evening. And then what happened was one of them, or both of them, I don't know, one of them, because he'd had so much muesli that all his intestines had seized up because there was so much in there, it was like cement. And then apparently he had to go to hospital to have it removed. So the moral of the story is student people, like, don't blow it all on the speedboat and then have no money left and then eat muesli forever.
And also, if you want meat, do not start eating roadkill. Because I knew some students years ago who had roadkill and they were all in hospital because they got an infection.
Oh God! And the thing, I admire people committed to veganism and everything else.
They ate fox. Let's don't go there. Can we move on to the third one?
Let's do that. Right.
Let's go on there.
So this is a vintage advert that it doesn't have a date, but we're assuming it's like 50s, I think.
Yeah.
And it's an article in the newspaper about the police force wanting women to join the force, and it's written in this particularly sort of condescending, posh way, so I'm going to read it.
That's put it mildly.
Yeah, I'm going to read it in the received pronunciation of the day.
You're going to read more of it. You're just going to
I'm going to read all. It's not a long.
Oh, right, okay, go on.
And then Davey will analyse it in his Cornish twangs. So this is the article. So it goes: Hefty girls wanted for police force. Women with brains plus good physique are wanted. The pay and prospects are good, but they must never marry or their career will end. They are needed as recruits for the Metropolitan Police Force, and Sir Philip Game, Chief Commissioner, and Miss Pito, Chief of the Women's Branch, are making a special appeal to spinsters and widows, girls in universities and public schools, and girls with training in nursing and social work. Married women need not apply. They must be hefty. Good pay is being offered. 53 shillings, 3D, what's 3D? D?
That's three and pence.
Oh, okay. A week with 3/4 in special hostels, but a high standard of intelligence, tact and physique is being demanded. The recruits must be at least 5 feet 4 inches high. They must be hefty enough to withstand a rough and tumble, and they must be fairly good looking. And that's the end of the advert. How bad is that?
That honestly, if I'd doing that in my feminism class, I tell you, they want to set fire to that.
Can I come especially to read it out for them?
Yeah. I think I've got to get you in there.
Yeah.
On that class, on that. I mean, even better. I think the other thing is, I mean, that just fits in so much with stereotypes. Because my father was a copper. Back in the 40s, actually.
Yeah.
And I've watched, I don't know if you've ever watched it. It's called WPC. It's like a TV series, detective series. And it's not so bad, actually. It's quite interesting. But I remember Dad telling me about...
I used to watch Thin Blue Line with Rowan Atkinson.
That
was brilliant.
Yeah, but it's like the 50s. I mean, and there wasn't many WPCs, but there were. They tried to recruit more. But they had this stereotype because they felt that they had to... They wanted women... They didn't want women that were going to... It's a contradiction. So the thing is, they wanted women to take part, but a lot of these women who they were going to recruit, more likely would argue, because, you know, they're coming from more independent, a lot of them were not educated, but, you know, they come from that background where they would open their mouths. So I think it's quite ridiculous, really, with some of the things that have been said in that advert. But more, go on.
I like the fact that they say they're hefty. Now, hefty's open to a bit of interpretation. Like, are we talking like someone who's stocky?
Yeah.
You know, who could deliver a
well built,
potentially, yeah.
Well built.
And then they go fairly good looking. Now,
yeah.
what on what scale does fairly? Sort of like 50%. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but then again, you see, that brings in the stereotype of someone who's a woman on their own can't be good looking because they haven't got an husband.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it's about. Yeah. Basically, if you're not attractive, to settle down and have kids, then you can join the police force, and we want you, and we use you as cannon fodder. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We use you as cannon fodder there. And by the way, but your main role possibly is walking children across. You know, because years ago they used to have female policewomen. The WPCs were responsible for traffic. After school, getting them across, you know, all those kind of things were seen as tapping into their nurturing and kind of, you know, family kind of,
which in I'm trying to say in fairness, but I think women potentially have a natural predisposition to
possibly
to do
some. We've got to be careful there. Some, but a lot of them were clerical. I mean, the TV series to watch, because we're into TV series a lot here, is to watch Endeavour. Because if you watch Endeavour, or you watch another great one, which is Inspector George Gently, you know, they do bring in a female WPC in, but you've got those that are willing to bring them in and want them to, I mean, amongst the male detectives who want to see it's a great thing of inclusivity. But at the same time, you've got the old guard there. Well, go on, dear, make the tea. Go on, my dear, go and type this letter up. Hang on, I'm a policewoman. Yeah, but that's the attitude. The attitude is that you're still taking on those menial roles like you would in the house, like, I'm hungry, go on my dear, go and make the cup of tea.
That kind of stuff it eventually heads towards like the gender pay gap as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Because you've got, like, you know, they had a recent scandal where, you know, people on the same job description, but men were getting paid far more in some cases.
Yeah.
Because there is that, like I said, that weird kind of thing, like you can have somebody who's really super qualified, but they get given these menial tasks to do. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
which is sad. But I think overall there's certainly more of a dialogue about it today. So hopefully these things will slowly improve.
And the adverts are far more sophisticated.
Yeah, not that one.
Yeah, but the other thing is, and it's not just obviously women now. I mean, they're for all groups, which is and it's more positive, and it's inclusive. They've got to be, because the community is so wide. Years ago, you didn't have such a wide community as you do now, with the different representative groups. So but when I see that, it does make me scared, because you just realise that, however, there are still some of those attitudes within those organisations towards women.
Oh, yeah,
they're still there.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say, but they're still there.
Well, there's like old boys clubs run loads of things.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, especially like within seats of power, all sorts of attitudes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think on that, we ought to finish. Don't you?
That will do this week.
Yes.
Farewell from Boulders.
Yes. I'm going to have a nice hefty brat meal now. Yes. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Purge completed.